Okay, I believe we're all present. Welcome back to this meeting. Apologies for the delay in the restart. So as this is a procedural motion, there will be no debate, and if the motion passes, we move on to the next agenda item. So we have a procedural motion in front of us, moved by Councillor Handford and seconded by Councillor Compton, which is up there on the screen, that the item of business 8.2 being discussed should lie on the table and not be discussed further at this meeting. Point of order called by Councillor McCann.
Just to clarify what you said, there is still, once this procedural motion has been lost or succeeds, we then are going into debate on what was the prior motion, because you said we'd go straight to a vote.
So we go straight to a vote on the procedural motion. Yep. Then, if it's lost, we continue discussing the item on the table. If it's won, we move to the next item on the agenda. Okay, so I'll put that motion now, moved by Councillor Handford, seconded by Councillor Compton. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against? No. Okay, so what we've got on what was moved by Councillor Handford and what we've just voted on is that the item of business 8.2 being discussed should lie on the table and not be discussed further at this meeting. Now that's just been put to a vote. So we need a division on that. So could we have the ayes, please?
So we have Councillor Randall, Councillor Pravano.
Put your microphone on, please.
So we have Councillor Randall, Councillor Pravanoff, Councillor Compton, and Councillor Handford. And
against? Raise your hand. And that includes Councillor Coots, who's attending remotely.
So we have Councillor McCann, we have Councillor Holborough, we have Councillor Buswell, Councillor Halliday and Councillor Coots.
So I believe that motion is lost. So we move back to the substantive motion, which has been moved by Councillor Buswell and seconded by Councillor Coots. And we have 3 of those motions, which are on page 29 and up on the screen. So I once again call for Councillor Buswell to open the debate. Have you finished your opening remarks? Yep. So we move on to general debate. Do I have any further comments? Yeah, Councillor Pravanoff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So could we just see the new motion that's been put up there? I just want to have some clarity around when the Kapiti Climate Change Action Group will be, this matter will be discussed with them, and what the outcome of those discussions will be and how that will be incorporated into the final document, and how and whether councillors will have any say in what goes into that document.
I believe the question is what's the time frame around the discussion with the Climate Change Action Group, and what will be the nature of the response? Sorry, we're in debate. There aren't any questions. Yep, I've just been reminded. So I got a bit thrown by the whole process. Do you have anything to say more around a remark on that topic?
Before the, I would like to see what comes out of the discussions with the Kapiti Climate Change Action Group.
Thank you. That request is noted. Councillor McCann.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to congratulate councillors on taking this document incredibly seriously, so much so that we are trying to respond or not respond, or perhaps delay our decisions based on where the government might go. And I'd like to note that we are all concerned that the direction that we're taking may not be keeping up with the direction that the government adopts. And I know that councillors will then want to, if we are left behind, review this document again. And there is, of course, a fine line between leaving it on the table for that reason and or reviewing it again. So I'd like to assure the public that it will certainly be my intention that should our council be left somewhat in the wake, not of dirty, smelly diesel pumping vehicles, but in the wake of new policy, that we will try to respond to that as urgently as possible. But this is a difficult decision. We need to keep the wheels of council moving, the non-climate change causing wheels of council moving. And I'd like to thank the staff for putting all of that information in front of us.
Councillor Halliday.
Just building on Councillor McCann's words as well, which I agree with, is that that was a difficult decision. But I do take in consideration the work done by staff in regards to the flexibility that's being allowed to respond. And I think it's going to be very crucial that those action plans that we as councillors and we as governance are very proactive in that space to ensure we are meeting our climate emergency obligations.
Councillor Compton.
Thank you. Sort of in light of the procedural motion vote and that, and obviously the view of the council is to progress this. Yeah, obviously we'll support this going forward today now, and look forward to hearing from staff about how that engagement goes with Kapiti Climate Change Action Group and those groups as well. So,
thank you, Councillor Compton. Councillor Hanford.
I just total the thoughts and sentiments of Gwyn as well, and just to let you know that Alison and the team are really happy to meet, and they're happy with the amendment proposed, so because they weren't able to stay until now, so thank you.
Thanks for passing that on, Councillor Hanford. So before I ask for closing remarks, I'll just check that we don't have Councillor Coots wanting to say anything from Zoom.
No, I'm fine, thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So I understand what happened today, and I understand the reasoning behind it, and certainly it's a huge challenge for our council as we try to navigate our own processes, particularly around the challenges with lost time and lost resources with COVID, and the challenges that are facing us from the pressures of central government, and how we can get quite derailed by those processes. But I acknowledge that the will around the table is to keep moving, keep pressing on, and we've heard from council staff that there's flexibility and, as Suzanne describes them, hooks within this document that allow us to respond to those challenges. And I'd like to acknowledge the enormous amount of work that's gone in, including Councillor Coots, our transport portfolio holder, and council staff in progressing this. It's been 18 months of hard work, and also acknowledge the strong input that's come from iwi and the community, which has been an enormous amount of work. And I certainly enjoyed particularly reading the amendments from Te Atiawa in terms of really embedding those tikanga Māori principles. So with that, I'll pass on to Angela Buswell if she has any closing remarks, or I'll put that to the vote.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Once again, I just want to reiterate the sentiments around the room and thanking staff for all the work that's gone into yet another strategy that has gone out for public consultation, and we've received fantastic feedback from all the different groups and things. So once again, I would just like to thank staff for their work and their commitment to taking on board further feedback from local iwi and some other community groups that have a vested interest in this particular area. So thank you.
And thank you. With that, I'll put this to the vote. All in favour say aye. 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 Against? That's carried. Thank you. And I believe our next item for discussion is the Waikanae Reserve classification. So we're looking at page 78 on the agenda, classification of Elizabeth Street Reserve, Waikanae.
I'm acting Darren.
We have James Jefferson standing in for Darren today, and
Leslie Olson.
Leslie Olson. Of course.
Thank you, and I've got the chair that keeps going up and down. Let's see, it's fine. I can talk from a low level. Madam Chair, councillors, Councillor Coates, I'll do the virtual wave. Community board members, thanks for the opportunity. Leslie Olson's our reserves planner advisor, and really we're bringing a procedural housekeeping matter to you. And I'll take the paper as read. As part of the land audit, that huge chunk of work that the property team have been doing, looking at all council-owned property and asking the question internally about what do you want this for, we've identified some pieces of reserve that have slipped through the cracks, and this is particularly pertinent at the moment and probably urgent that we do this because there are some leases which are legally binding agreements, and we just need to get the foundation stuff right for that. And I think Leslie intends to bring sort of a more omnibus. I'm not sure how many there are. I've been out of that place and space place for a while. But yeah, look, happy Leslie will take questions, and hopefully we can guide you through it. I hope that's helpful.
Thank you, Mr. Jefferson. Questions? First of all, Councillor Compton.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. So my understanding from the paper is that this was meant to have been gazetted as a reserve back in 1950, and so it hasn't been for nearly, 71 years now. Is there any risk around any prosecutions that might have been taken in relation to things that might have breached its reserve statement that might be lurking in the woodwork, or is that just such a minor issue that we shouldn't worry about?
No, it's very low risk, and that's the legal advice I've been given. It was given a purpose, it just hasn't been classified formally with that purpose. So the main thing is that ties the link between being able to lease the land for that particular purpose. But otherwise, yeah, very low risk.
Cool.
Thank you, Ms. Olson. Councillor McCann.
Through you, Madam Chair, I noticed that James mentioned that there was a review of council-owned land, and I wondered if this was a great opportunity to let us know whether any land has been found that could be used for social housing or housing, and when that information might be brought to council.
Look, thank you through the chair. Really, really good question, and the short answer is we're not endowed with terribly much land that is of sufficient size and fit for purpose. The results of that will come back through to SLT, and it's my understanding the intention is to bring that back in a briefing to you, but unfortunately there are no big pots of land that we can easily access and free up. Sorry.
It was worth checking.
Never one to miss an opportunity, Councillor McCann. Any further questions? So I'll invite someone to move this recommendation and someone to second on page 80, recommendation 19. Do I have a mover? Councillor Pavanov, seconded by Councillor McCann. Any debate? I'll put that to the vote then. All in favour say aye. Aye. Against? That's carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, Leslie.
Madam
Yes,
Chair?
Councillor Randall.
Yeah. Can I request that community board members be allowed to stay for the public excluded item?
I'll just get some advice on that. As the matter being discussed is outside the delegations of the community boards and it's of a commercial nature, then I'll be ruling that only councillors stay for this particular item. But are we up to that? Let me just check. First of all, we have confirmation of minutes though, and community board members are welcome to stay for that item. Okay, we have a mover for the confirmation of minutes. and seconded by Councillor Buswell. It's on page 82. All in favour say aye. Aye. Against, that's carried. So we have public speaking time for items not on the agenda. I don't believe we have any. We have no confirmation of public excluded minutes. So we now move into public excluded. Can I have a mover to go into public excluded? Moved by Councillor Buswell, second by Councillor Pravanov. All in favour say aye. Aye. Against? That's carried. So we are now in public excluded. Can we please stop the live?